When I was a child, or at least a teenager, I remember seeing interracial couples and thinking it's okay, but it was kind of an unusual thing, and thinking it's probably going to be difficult for them as they grow up or as they go about their life. Now, it's pretty much the norm. It's a big change has occurred. When I was in Cub Scouts, I remember there was a boy that my mother was very upset about because she felt that his dad was beating him up, and we didn't know what to do, and she didn't know what to do, and she was very concerned about that. And things like that have changed. The abuse is being reported. People have to report it, and we're addressing issues like that. There have been some really amazing transformations in our society. Understanding of sexuality. Growing up, really didn't know a whole lot at all about sexuality. Maybe that was just my unique situation. Knew very little about homosexuality until I got to college. Now it's a much more open, discussed topic in our culture. Domestic violence, understanding of how our educational system has changed. When I was in college, we mostly learned about the European writers, the great European writers, and now in college it's a much broader spectrum of Asian and Latin American and all these other different voices, African voices, that we weren't being taught before. This is a way of opening our lives into a broader sense. There have been many changes. Some changes have not been always as positive. The recent movie Oppenheimer demonstrated that change sometimes can bring about horrors and death in the atomic bomb. Social media brings some wonderful things, but also some great dangers. How we understand the television set. When I was a kid, I had to kind of hold the antenna oftentimes in the black and white TV, and we got 3 channels, 4 channels, and it was a very limited understanding of the media. Now there are billions of channels. There have been great changes. Have we been making the changes in our spiritual journey? Whether we like it or not, religion has been transformed greatly. When I grew up, most people I knew, both through high school, college, most people had at least a Christian basis of their life. Whether they were active or not was one thing. There were some Jewish families as well, but this was it. And mostly the people were from the United States. Now going to a college, you're going to have people from all over the world and many different religions. Jokes used to be about the Baptist and the Catholic minister go do this something. Now it's the Muslim and the Christian and the Buddhist. I mean, our whole way of thinking has been transformed because of communication, travel, and commerce, and where we live. As we've made these changes and had to adapt to the technology in our life, have we also been making the changes spiritually? The technology oftentimes separates us. It used to be my family, we all sat in front of the TV and watched it together. Now everyone has their own television or their phone that they watch. And then everyone's watching something different or listening to different music. It used to be one radio or the stereo would be on and we'd all be hearing the same music. As we're becoming more isolated and independent with the technology, it is even more essential that we deepen our own spiritual journey, and a spiritual journey always demands that we be more connected with each other, with our neighbors, with those around us, that we go out and meet them, whether we agree or disagree. A church is about gathering together with people who might be different than us, disagree with us, but we all come together to pray. Open our hearts to God, to maybe learn something from each other, share a meal. It is essential as our world is being transformed now with the idea of AI, artificial intelligence, being said it's going to change our whole way of being, an understanding of what we see and hear, that we really root ourselves more deeply in our faith, in our experience of God, in our relationship to God, that it causes us to question more deeply what's happening, our response, to pray more fervently, to be surprised. God historically has constantly surprised us, opened new ways of understanding the virgin birth, Jesus, God coming to be a human being. All of these things were radical shifts in the way we think. Muhammad coming and not just destroying the enemy, but bringing them into his community. This was a radical different thought. Saying we're all in this together. How we view religion has got to change. It used to be either you were a Presbyterian or a Methodist or Episcopal or Catholic, Roman Catholic. Now you can be Roman Catholic and Episcopal and Baptist or Quaker and Buddhist and Jewish and Buddhist. Or the range is vast. We're understanding things in a different way. Is our faith and our minds and our understanding personally also changing? Deepening. Not just, I want nothing to do with religion. Our media would love to have us have nothing to do with religion, but it'll always be part of our life. Our rituals, what we believe, what we hold on to. Let us renew our faith. Let us deepen our faith and return to where we've come from so that we might go further, not just deny our history and ancestry and our experiences of God in the past, but take those and go deeper. Take those and go deeper. Let us discover the depth of what it is to be one with God. Let us discover how that will transform our perceptions, understandings, and open us to question and to be bold and confident in understanding what can be done that otherwise we might have thought impossible. The love of God will continue to shine. Whether we leave our little bubbles and worlds of thinking and go out and see that bright light of God's love, that's up to us. Blessings on you and all those whom you love. May you all be surprised by great wonder and joy today.